Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu. Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Amma ba'du, fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim, siratal ladzina an'amta alaihim غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace and blessings of Allah be with you all. We must first of all thank Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala infinitely, because by His great kindness He granted to the Jamaat al-Sahih al-Islam of Tamil Nadu as well as the Jamaat of Kerala the honor and the privilege of organizing the Jalsa Salana 2020 despite the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. I must say Alhamdulillah, Summa Alhamdulillah. The whole world appears to be in turmoil, and even the island are not spared with the coronavirus of COVID-19, which is wreaking havoc millions. is wreaking havoc across the globe. Millions and millions are contaminated with COVID-19, and there are more than 1 million have died from it around the world. In addition, there is the global economic crisis, loss of job, corruption, also drought, even here in Mauritius, social problem, drugs and floods, and many other forms of calamity. It is therefore incumbent upon us to pray for the safeguard and advancement of Islam, Sahih Islam, as well as humanity throughout the world. The length of life on earth is unknown to us. We cannot know how many will have already died. Our duty is to warn people of the fragility of this time. Allah Ta'ala has informed me several times. Allah Ta'ala has informed me several times that this time will be even more dangerous and will herald the approach of Qiyamah, the last day. Qiyamah, the last day. As it has been said, death will take many forms. Deadly viruses like the COVID-19. There would be more serious virus that will appear in the future. Believe me what I am saying today. What Allah has revealed to me, believe me. The virus that will appear in the future will be very, 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 very dangerous. And then we'll have, we call it Third World War, being very close. It is a Third World War will being very close. Famine, drought, floods, crime, drug, that will wreak even more havoc, killing hundreds of thousands of young people, boys and girls. Earthquake, many people will lose their lives, and many also become orphans and widows. A very sad news. Many will become orphans and widows. I tell all of you that to note this, take it and note what I am saying today. What will happen in the future? You have seen what happened. And the next year will be more than this. There is also corruption, especially by those in power, etc. When such calamities strike, materialistic people become saddened and lose their mind. In the face of the difficulties that arise. In the path of religion, we encounter two kinds of difficulties. Two kinds of difficulties. One of the two is the accepted difficulty. For example, give you an example. For example, when a person leaves his home and go to pray at the mosque, or when people get up earlier at night for prayer, or during the month of Ramadan, when hunger and thirst are tolerated, during the pilgrimage, that is Hajj, a person also has to face many hardships. For the zakat, we have to give our goods to others. But Allah has given us, we have to share this. So we have to give the goods which Allah has given us to the other people, to the other poor people. So these are hardships that man consent. That man consent to, and he deserves to be rewarded for his action. But in each case, it also happens that he chooses his rest. For this reason, purification is never complete, and the path to his destination is not established quickly. In the case of the difficulties that come to us, from heaven, man has no choice. I repeat it so that you can understand well. In the case of the difficulties that come to us from heaven, man has no choice and must undergo them, in spite of himself. And it is for this reason that through such difficulties man can reach the proximity of God, of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. Now, listen and understand. Listen and understand. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala has prepared these two difficulties for you, for all of us. You have to undergo the first, and the second is in heaven. Most people do not agree to suffer the first difficulties under many pretexts. But who can save himself from heavenly calamities? Man will have no choice but to accept. But we can say we cannot object to the will of God. You cannot object to the will of God. So man will have no choice but to accept. The sign of the believer is not only to endure with patience, but to do so with pleasure. For his pleasure is linked to the pleasure of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. This rank is very high because at the moment of a difficulty, the pleasure of Allah must precede your pleasure. The benefactor must be placed before the beneficiary. I think that you have understand what I want to say. Correct yourself today. As from today, each of us must correct ourselves today. No one knows what will happen today, let alone tomorrow. Let alone tomorrow. Certainly, difficulties will arise according to Allah's decree. Each of you should engage in prayers and ask for forgiveness and find pleasure in the pleasure of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. What could be more favorable that this annual convention, that is the Jalsa Salana of today, of Tamil Nadu, which bring together the majority of my disciples, that is a member of the Jamaat al-Sahih al-Islam, young and old. This convention, Jalsa Salana, is far from being a distraction. It has no worldly aims because its purpose is purely spiritual. It's purely spiritual. It should be noted that the annual convention was instituted by the promised Messiah, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad alayhi salam, in order to raise the spiritual level of his community while striving to please Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. My dear disciple, oh my dear disciple, oh my dear disciple, keep in mind that we are the true Jamaat of this extraordinary Messiah. Keep in mind that we are the true Jamaat of this extraordinary Messiah. The Jamaat al-Sahih al-Islam is a true Jamaat Ahmadiyya. Is a true Jamaat Ahmadiyya. The Jamaat al-Sahih al-Islam. Allah has placed His two Messiahs at the head of His Jamaat, and this Jamaat will remain alive because it is Islam, its real basis. Without Islam, this Jamaat is worth nothing, because we are attached, linked to the prophethood of our beloved prophet. Our beloved prophet, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this Jamaat has several names. Sometimes Jamaat Ahmadiyya, sometimes Jamaat Ahmadiyya al-Muslimin, which revealed a new century of divine manifestations in this era. And now, Jamaat al-Sahih al-Islam, which Allah has perfected in the image of Islam, which Allah has perfected in the image of the Islam. Under His sublime guidance and that of His Khalifatullah, this humble servant and Messiah of this century, this humble servant, it is Munir Ahmad Azim. So, to attend this convention, you leave your today activities So to attend this convention, you leave your day-to-day activities behind, and it would be good to reap spiritual benefits from this sacrifice. Time, is a precious commodity. You must take advantage of every moment spent in Jalsa Salana, either in remembrance of Allah or to increase your spiritual knowledge, and also to consolidate the bonds of the brotherhood and to welcome new members among you. So you need to leave your family or personal problems behind and not to sit in a closed circle and chat unnecessarily. It goes without saying that over time, inshallah, inshallah, the number of my followers, my sincere followers, will increase, and that due to the number of the people who will come to attend this gathering, a problem of space will be felt. The distribution of food will not be facilitated either, but these little troubles will be nothing compared to the blessings that Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala will shower on those who endure these sacrifices for His pleasure. So show disciplines. So show disciplines and understanding. The tolerance within this Jamaat must radiate beyond consideration of color or race, and must extend to all mankind. For this you must love one another and agree to make an effort for the sake of the Jamaat. The success of this enterprise would be that each member of the Jamaat al-Sahih al-Islam emerge from this convention as a better being. Before concluding, I would also like to congratulate Naib Amir Salim Sahib as well as Amir Siraj'um Sahib, and also Faisal Sahib, very sincere members of the Jamaat al-Sahih al-Islam, like Salim Sahib, Siraj'um Sahib, Raju Sahib. They are doing very, very hard work for the Deen Islam. And their obedience to the Khalifatullah, obedience to Allah, MashaAllah, Allahu Akbar, MashaAllah, Allahu Akbar. I have no words to say. I cannot say what is in my heart. How these people, they are working day and night for the Jamaat, and how they are very sincere. To the Khalifatullah of this era, and they are doing a lot of works, a lot of tabligh works. Like my disciples also in Kerala, Amir Sahib, and also the other members in Kerala, in Delhi. So, for that reason, before concluding, I would also like to congratulate the Naib Amir Salim Sahib, as well as Amir Sahib Siraj'um Sahib, Faisal Sahib, Sulaiman Sahib, and the other members for the considerable effort from there, for the considerable efforts they have made in order to achieve this double project of a new mosque. Have worked day and night, these people. For the new mosque, Siraj Munir Masjid, Siraj Munir Mosque, as well as offices, libraries, etc., etc. May Allah bless them and put a lot of barakat, blessings in their family. They will live with peace and blessings of Allah be upon them, and put a lot of barakat in their money. Last but not least, I would like to wholeheartedly congratulate all my followers of Jamaat al-Sahih al-Islam in Kerala, in Delhi, in Tamil Nadu, in places such as Kotar, Coimbatore, Kannur, etc., etc. I remember all of you in my prayer. Believe me, in each of my prayer, I remember, I pray for you. Even I take your names to pray for you, make a special prayer for you. Who have cooperated, all of these who have cooperated in the most praiseworthy way in the construction of this beautiful mosque, Siraj'um Munir Mosque. They made great sacrifice to help with this construction. It's not easy, especially in this pandemic, COVID-19, where many people lose their jobs. Life is very difficult. Of course, there is many of my disciples have lost their job, no job. But they have made big sacrifice. In any way they have made any kind of sacrifice. Even the ladies, the siraj'um also. So indeed, not only did they generously subscribe according to their means to the fund set to the finance this work, but they personally worked. But they personally worked with their hands. Allahu Akbar, MashaAllah. Not only to sacrifice money, but to work with their hands also. Put their hand in this noble work, Siraj'um. Paid with their person physically for the material constructions of this building. In the outburst of solidarity, above all praise, the members of the Jamaat al-Sahih al-Islam, whatever class or professions or business they belong to, have worked as servant of God, servant of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. Worked with, enjoyed this collaboration like one body, one family, one Sahih al-Islam. Worked in joy, good spirit and cheerfulness at the erection of this mosque called Siraj'um Munir Mosque. They were all in pain. Let them all be in the spotlight today. Yes, in the spotlight, in honor, because they have not only done their duty towards the Jamaat al-Sahih al-Islam, the Jamaat of Allah, but all their duty, and if I dare to say it, perhaps more than their duty, since a magnificent effort they have accomplished, an extraordinary sacrifice. O my disciples, men, women and children, it is Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala and Allah alone who has instilled, in the heart. It is Allah and Allah alone who has instilled in the heart of each member of the Jamaat al-Sahih al-Islam this spirit of sacrifice and courage. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala sent His Khalifatullah at this time to awaken Muslims and all mankind and to put in their hearts a living faith in the existence of a living God. So before I end my speech, I want to say one thing. There is one disciple, sincere disciple. I make this appeal to all the members in Tamil Nadu, in Coimbatore, in Kotar, because these sincere disciples wants to buy a plot of land there and to build a mosque for our Jamaat al-Sahih al-Islam in Kotar or Coimbatore on his own money. He wants to buy, so see if he has a plot of land, not so expensive, so he can buy the plot of land and build a mosque, libraries, etc. for the Jamaat al-Sahih al-Islam. This is his desires. He has requested me, he asked me, and he wants to have these blessings to buy a small plots of land for our members, for our disciples in Coimbatore or Kotar, not so expensive, and he himself will build this mosque and also will put the name of his late sons as possible. Will build this mosque in the name of his son. So we must pray that Allah bless him, bless his family, and accomplish these desires, these noble desires. And also it is a very good news for our members in Qatar or in Coimbatore to have our own mosque, so we can avoid about look for a house, a place to pay rent every month. We can save this money for other expenses for the Jamaat al-Sahih al-Islam. MashaAllah. MashaAllah, this is a very good news for today. So I request you to send me and look for these plots of land and send it to me, and we will see, we will build a mosque there for our disciple in Coimbatore or in Kotar. So we must pray that may Allah Almighty pour out His grace and forgiveness on all of us. Ameen. Summa Ameen. Ya Rabbal Alameen.